B&B spoilers, Eric Forrester goes rogue, Ridge should be worried. The bold and the beautiful spoilers say that Eric Forrester will be the star of the show next week on the CBS soap. Ridge Forrester's campaign to put his father into retirement doesn't seem to be going well. Is he in over his head with his aging dad? Keep reading to find out what's happening next on B&B spoilers down below. B&B spoilers, Eric Forrester rages. A new promo for next week shows Eric Forrester, John McCook, raging at his family that he won't be put out to pasture. Ridge tried to surprise his dad with a retirement party at the office and send Eric home for good. But the Forrester patriarch has other plans and wants to keep designing. B&B spoilers say that Eric Forrester's health is declining, after all he's in his 80s. But coming to work when he feels up to it and doing what he loves isn't going to kill him. In fact, most doctors would probably tell you that it might even increase his life expectancy. Ridge Forrester, Torsten K., doesn't see it like that though. He thinks his father should spend the rest of his days in bed in silk pajamas and getting waited on and visited by his family. B&B spoilers, can Eric fire Ridge? It has been a long time since Bold and the beautiful viewers saw Eric Forrester so passionate about anything. Soap spoilers hint he will continue to rebel against his son and insist on moving forward with another fashion show. If Ridge doesn't support him, Eric might even try to get his son ousted from the family company. The hallowed halls of Forrester Creations, long a sanctuary of high fashion and even higher family drama, are trembling. A darkness has fallen over the Forrester dynasty, not from an external rival, but from within its very heart. Today's news from the sets of The Bold and the Beautiful is not just sad, it's devastating, signaling a seismic shift that could fracture the legendary fashion house forever. Eric Forrester, John McCook, the beloved patriarch, the artistic soul of the company, is going rogue, and the son who pushed him to this brink, Ridge Forrester, Torsten K., is about to reap a harvest of unimaginable sorrow and corporate ruin. The escalating tension between father and son has been building for weeks, a slow, agonizing slide toward a confrontation that no one, especially Ridge, truly saw coming. The root of this catastrophic conflict is Ridge's misguided, controlling concern for his father's health. Following Eric's recent, life-threatening illness, Ridge has taken it upon himself to decide Eric's future, a decision that has stripped the elder Forrester of the very essence of his identity, his right to create. Artist's palette. The artist stripped bare, Eric's humiliation. For Eric Forrester, fashion is not a job, it is a pulse. It is the language through which he speaks to the world. His hands, even in his declining health, still itch for a sketchpad, for the feel of silk and muslin. Yet, his son, the heir apparent, has systematically iced him out. The subtle nudges have turned into outright demands. Go off into the sunset, do something, that's what I would do if I were in your shoes. Ridge had the audacity to declare, a statement dripping with the arrogance of a man who believes he knows best. The final, fatal blow was the so-called surprise retirement party. Brooke, Catherine Kelly Lang, and Steffi, Jacqueline McInnes Wood, drawn into Ridge's protective orbit, helped plan the lavish event, believing they were securing Eric's health and happiness. But for Eric, walking into a room filled with people celebrating the premature end of his professional life was not a tribute, it was a public execution. You're not in my shoes, Ridge, Eric's voice cracked with a fury that belied his frail frame. It was a line that echoed through the marble-clad office, a stark reminder that this was his company, founded with his vision and his talent. His emotional plea was met with Ridge's unyielding determination, it's time for the master to rest. The implication was clear, Eric was no longer a master, but a tired old man to be shuffled off stage. This wasn't just a business disagreement, it was a deeply personal, devastating betrayal. Eric's artistic spirit has been wounded, his legacy dismissed, and his authority usurped. The man who had given Ridge his name, his career, and his entire world, was now being told to sit down and be quiet. The result? Eric Forrester has decided to fight back. Bomb the looming catastrophe, Ridge's blind spot. Ridge's motive, as is so often the case, is rooted in a toxic blend of love and hubris. He genuinely fears losing his father, especially after Eric's previous, near-fatal health crises. He sees his actions as a necessary intervention. But what he fails to see is the very real, very dangerous side effect. By taking away Eric's reason to live, he may be speeding up the decline he's trying to prevent. Ridge's blind spot is monumental. He believes Forrester Creations is secure in his hands, that his design team can effortlessly fill the void left by his father. This is where he is catastrophically wrong. Eric Forrester is more than a name on the building, he is the foundation. And now, that foundation is about to be turned against him. The spoils of war, the whispers have already begun, and they suggest a nightmare scenario for Ridge. Eric is preparing to reignite the fashion wars. A rival house, the most powerful card Eric holds is his design genius and his connections. Pushed out of his own company, Eric's next move could be to partner with a former rival or a new, ambitious player. Could he team up with the likes of Bill Spencer, Don Diamont, who has a history of fighting Ridge in the deepest pockets in Los Angeles? Bill is already fighting for Katie, who feels marginalized by Ridge. A partnership with Eric would be Bill's ultimate revenge against the dressmaker. The idea of Forrester Designs competing directly against Forrester Creations, backed by Spencer money, is the corporate bloodbath Ridge never imagined. The new design collection, spoilers hint that Eric has been passionately designing in secret, a brilliant, inspired collection that he was eager to present to Ridge. His designs are a testament to his continued genius, and now they will be weaponized. He won't just retire, he will launch a collection that utterly eclipses Ridge's work, proving his son's judgment was flawed, insulting, and financially reckless. The family split, the family is already fracturing. Steffi, while respecting Ridge, is deeply worried that her father is mishandling Eric. Donna, Jennifer Garais, Eric's devoted wife, is furious at Ridge's high-handed tactics. Katie Logan, Heather Tom, who has a strong Forrester heritage, is already being courted by Bill to join Spencer Publications. When Eric makes his move, the family will be forced to choose sides. Will Steffi choose her grandfather, the man who shaped her understanding of the Forrester legacy, over her overbearing father? A family civil war is inevitable, and the collateral damage will be the destruction of the brand. The deep sadness in this storyline is the complete breakdown of the father-son relationship. Eric is not just mad, he is genuinely heartbroken. Ridge's actions, however well-intentioned, have made his father feel discarded and worthless. He is fighting for his life in a way no doctor can understand. He is fighting for his dignity. Of Forrester Creations, long the epicenter of high fashion and dramatic family secrets, are currently cloaked in a profound, unsettling grief. This is not the familiar, fleeting pain of a broken engagement or a stolen design. This is a tragedy that cuts to the very core of the founding family. The beloved patriarch, Eric Forrester, John McCook, the very soul of the dynasty, is facing a severe, terminal illness, a storyline that has shattered the peace of the CBS soap opera, The Bold and the Beautiful, B&B. Recent spoilers and episodes paint a bleak picture, a canvas splattered with heartache and confusion, culminating in a devastating confrontation that has led to today's saddest news. Eric Forrester rages against his own son, Ridge Forrester, Torsten K., in a battle for his dignity and his very life. This conflict is more than just a typical Forrester squabble, it's a monumental clash between a father's fierce desire to choose his own ending and a son's desperate, furious refusal to let go. The unbearable truth, a terminal diagnosis. The initial source of the anguish was the grim medical diagnosis. Eric, who had been hiding a persistent cough and debilitating tremors, learned he has a life-threatening illness, one that his own doctor predicted would give him only 6 months to live. This secret, held close by Eric and his devoted love, Donna Logan, Jennifer Garais, became a ticking clock, casting a shadow over his final, triumphant couture fashion showdown with his son, Ridge. Eric's decision to keep his health crisis a secret from his children was a final, desperate attempt to protect his legacy, and himself, from the smothering, well-meaning interference of his family. He wanted his final act to be one of strength and creativity, not one of pity and fear. When the truth finally spilled out, the family was plunged into chaos. The shock quickly morphed into a desperate search for a miracle cure, a classic soap opera race against time. Fire Ridge's agonizing decision and Eric's fury. This is where today's heartbreaking news and the explosive rage take center stage. Dr. John Finnegan, Tanner Novlin, Steffi's husband and a cutting-edge medical mind, uncovered a potential experimental treatment. It's a high-risk, unproven path, but a path nonetheless, a flicker of hope against the crushing darkness. However, the weight of the decision fell upon the shoulders of Eric's eldest son, Ridge. In a scene that will be etched in BNB history, Ridge, agonizing over his father's wishes and his own unbearable grief, made a monumental choice. He refused the experimental treatment. His rationale, though rooted in love, was devastating. Ridge argued that Eric's recent decline, his increasing frailty, and the words he seemingly heard while Eric was in a coma, a heartbreaking hallucination where Eric begged his son to let him go, were a clear sign. Ridge believed his father wanted to die with dignity, free from invasive, painful procedures that offered only a slim chance of success. He felt that honoring Eric's will, even if unspoken in this final moment, was the ultimate act of respect. But for Eric, this decision was the ultimate betrayal. When he was able to communicate, his reaction was explosive. Eric Forrester raged. Broken heart, the unspeakable betrayal. Eric's rage was not the temper tantrum of a spoiled designer, it was the ferocious roar of a man fighting for his right to choose his own destiny. He felt betrayed, not by a lover, but by his own blood. The loss of autonomy, the core of Eric's fury is the loss of his autonomy. Ridge, by acting as his medical proxy and declining the treatment, effectively revoked Eric's last chance, and his last say, in his own life. This patriarch, who built an empire on his own vision, was stripped of his final choice. The echoes of the past, this rage is compounded by a haunting event from the past, when Eric was previously poisoned by Pam's infamous lemon bars. Ridge, in a grief-induced hallucination, listened to a voice he thought was Eric's and pulled the plug on his breathing machine. Eric recovered and was later able to forgive his son, but that memory of perceived treachery has now resurfaced, poisoning their current conflict. Ridge's latest decision, in Eric's eyes, is a devastating repeat of that history. The family rift, Eric's rage against Ridge instantly sent shockwaves through the Forrester clan. Donna Logan, his devoted fiancée, and Bridget Forrester, Ashley Jones, his daughter and a doctor who wanted to explore every avenue, were utterly outraged. They joined forces with Steffi Forrester, who has always stood up for her grandfather, to confront Ridge. The family is now tragically splintered, divided into those who believe Ridge acted out of love and those who believe he condemned their father out of fear and misinterpretation. The lasting impact on the dynasty. The sad news of Eric's failing health and the fury that followed is not just an emotional earthquake, it's a seismic shift for Forrester Creations. Eric's immediate response to his son's action, once he was well enough, was an act of brutal, business-driven retaliation. He publicly fired Ridge and appointed his younger son, Rick Forrester, as the president of Forrester Creations. This move, echoing a power struggle from years ago, is a testament to the depth of Eric's pain. It's a father's weaponized heartbreak, using his company, his life's work, as a tool to punish the son who he believes signed his death warrant. This raging conflict promises a high-engagement, deeply emotional arc for the weeks to come. The stakes are everything: Eric's life, the future of the company, and the fractured bond between father and son. Can Ridge ever earn his father's forgiveness? Will the family find a way to unite and fight for Eric, even if it means defying the man they love? This is truly the very sad news of today on The Bold and the Beautiful. The end of a long, beautiful legacy may be upon us, marred by the agonizing sound of the patriarch's heart-wrenching rage, the echoes of the past. This rage is compounded by a haunting event from the past, when Eric was previously poisoned by Pam's infamous lemon bars. Ridge, in a grief-induced hallucination, listened to a voice he thought was Eric's and pulled the plug on his breathing machine. Eric recovered and was later able to forgive his son, but that memory of perceived treachery has now resurfaced, poisoning their current conflict. Ridge's latest decision, in Eric's eyes, is a devastating repeat of that history. The family rift, Eric's rage against Ridge instantly sent shockwaves through the Forrester clan. Donna Logan, his devoted fiancée, and Bridget Forrester, Ashley Jones, his daughter and a doctor who wanted to explore every avenue, were utterly outraged. They joined forces with Steffi Forrester, who has always stood up for her grandfather, to confront Ridge. The family is now tragically splintered, divided into those who believe Ridge acted out of love and those who believe he condemned their father out of fear and misinterpretation. The lasting impact on the dynasty. The sad news of Eric's failing health and the fury that followed is not just an emotional earthquake, it's a seismic shift for Forrester Creations. Eric's immediate response to his son's action, once he was well enough, was an act of brutal, business-driven retaliation. And the fractured bond between father and son. Can Ridge ever earn his father's forgiveness? Will the family find a way to unite and fight for Eric, even if it means defying the man they love? The halls of Forrester Creations echo not with the celebratory sounds of fashion success, but with the deafening silence of a broken family bond. The question hanging over the most iconic fashion house in Los Angeles, one that sends shivers down the spines of fans worldwide, is, can Eric Forrester truly fire his son, Ridge? This is more than a power struggle, it is a tragedy of legacy, love, and the devastating cost of a parent's desire to live versus a child's desperate need to protect. The news is incredibly sad because it pits father against son in a battle where both men believe they are fighting for the very soul of the family and the company. The recent spoilers reveal a breathtaking escalation in a conflict that has been simmering for months, ignited by Eric's health crisis and Ridge's subsequent, deeply misguided attempts to take control. The unthinkable betrayal, a retirement party disaster. The breaking point was not a fiery boardroom confrontation, but a heartbreaking, forced celebration. Ridge, along with Brooke, orchestrated a surprise retirement party for Eric. The intentions, they claimed, were loving, a way to gently usher the Forrester patriarch into a life of leisure, free from the stress that nearly claimed his life during his recent illness. They truly believed they were acting in his best interest, shielding him from the potential for a relapse. However, to Eric, the sight of the banner, the champagne, and the carefully worded well wishes was not an honor, it was a humiliation and an act of erasure. It was Ridge and Brooke unilaterally deciding his life was over, that his work, the very core of his identity, was no longer necessary. Eric, who founded Forrester Creations, who pours his heart and soul into every design, felt like a guest in his own company, a relic to be moved aside. As Eric walked into that decorated office, his shock turned instantly into icy fury. He shut down the entire event, firmly and unequivocally refusing to retire. In that moment, the love and concern Ridge felt were completely eclipsed by his arrogance and condescension. Ridge was not asking Eric to retire, he was telling him. He declared the decision was already made, effectively treating his father like an employee whose time was up. The betrayal cut deeper than any previous squabble, shaking the foundation of the Forrester family to its very core. Eric's right to fight, a designer's heart. For Eric Forrester, a man who has always been defined by his artistic vision, retiring is akin to ceasing to breathe. His recent health scare only solidified his passion. When he was closest to death, his greatest comfort was his drawing table, a space where he could still create and feel alive. The new collection he is passionately working on isn't just a line of clothes, it is his statement, his manifesto, and his proof of life. The great sadness lies in the fact that what Eric is demanding is simply to return to the design table, not the CEO's chair. He wants to be a co-designer with Ridge, to share his legacy and his renewed creative fire. Yet, Ridge, consumed by the CEO duties and his misplaced protective instinct, has repeatedly shut him down. Ridge insists they have a successful design team that has things covered, a dismissive phrase that marginalizes Eric's lifetime of work. The emotional plea from Eric, "I do not like feeling like a guest in my own company," highlights the profound insult. His son, the man he groomed and consistently favored, is now treating him as an unwelcome visitor, a liability. This has understandably pushed the beloved patriarch to his limit, leading to the question of a dramatic counterstrike. The power dynamic, can the founder be fired? Legally and emotionally, the power dynamics at Forrester Creations are incredibly complex, and that is what makes the threat of Eric firing Ridge so compelling. Founder's prerogative: Eric Forrester is the co-founder of the company, alongside the late Stephanie. His name is on the door. He is the ultimate figurehead and the historical heart of the brand. The ownership riddle: while the exact share distribution often shifts with the plot, Eric is almost certainly the majority shareholder or, at the very least, holds enough power, perhaps with Donna's support, to make significant executive decisions, including firing the CEO. The irony of the threat: historically, the feud has been the other way around. Ridge has repeatedly sought to take over or push Eric out, most notably in 2023 during the Fashion Challenge where Ridge tried to shut Eric down entirely. The irony now is that the tables have turned, and the very son who tried to sideline him is now the one facing the chopping block. If Eric does fire Ridge, it would be a shocking and painful move, but one that is perfectly justified by Ridge's overreach. It would be an act of self-preservation, a founder fighting for his right to work until his last breath. The looming civil war and fan outrage. The drama has already created deep rifts within the family and ignited massive fan reaction. The Logan split, Brooke and Ridge's plan has put a strain on the Logans. Donna, who is fiercely protective of Eric and knows his passion, is appalled. Even Katie, who has her own tensions with Ridge, received support from Bill Spencer, who publicly confronted Ridge over Katie's mistreatment, further escalating the chaos. A new fashion war? The refusal to let Eric design might lead to the ultimate soap opera twist. Eric could use his formidable talent and resources to launch a rival fashion house. This would splinter the family and the company, creating a new Forrester versus Logan, or even Eric and Donna's line versus Ridge's line, feud that would be devastating to watch. The show has hinted at this by mentioning former allies who might partner with Eric. The unpopular son, fan commentary online is almost unanimously on Eric's side, calling Ridge selfish, an ass, and horrible. Viewers feel Ridge is arrogant and unfeeling, only worried about his own position in the company rather than his father's well-being or legacy. The sentiment is loud and clear: Eric should fire Ridge. This is not a simple professional disagreement, it's a conflict where a lifetime of favor, love, and legacy is being weaponized. The sadness of this news is the visual of a great man, the very foundation of the Forrester world, having to beg his son for a place at his own design table. Whether Eric fires Ridge or not, the damage is done. The Forrester family's heart is shattered, and the future of their legendary company hangs in the balance, overshadowed by the very sad news of a father's defiance and a son's fatal misunderstanding of love.